Hello dear student, myself Dr H G Wankhade, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, Shri Shivaji Science College, Amravati. Welcome you on online value-based course on chemical handling and laboratory safety. Today we are going to discuss about the introduction to laboratory safety. We know that chemistry laboratory contain various hazardous chemicals. We are using electrical equipments. We are using the glasswares. And there are many prone chances to have had an accident. So it is very important to know how to work in a chemistry laboratory and how to maintain a safety in chemistry laboratory. So while working in chemistry laboratory, we should have some minimum required apparel. As we know that when we ride the bike, to protect ourselves, our head from the accident, we are using a helmet. In a same manner, certain accidents can be caused into a chemistry laboratory. So to protect our eyes, our hands, our legs and our body during this accident, so it is needed to wear certain required apparel. That apparel includes goggles to protect our eyes, gloves to protect our hand, or direct to protect our hand in coming in direct contact with the hazardous chemicals. Lab coat, which we also call as a apron. This is used to protect our clothes and our body from during the accident in a chemistry laboratory, and shoes to protect our legs. Now keep in mind that when we are using all of these apparels while performing in a laboratory, so all these apparel must be comfortable. It must not be uncomfortable, because if it is uncomfortable, you are not able to work properly in chemistry laboratory because of the uncomfort caused because of this apparel. So always keep in mind that whatever the apparel you are using, that must be comfortable. The very first, protect your eyes. We know that in chemistry laboratory, we are carried out the various chemical reactions, and during that reaction, the various fumes are get generated that goes into eyes and can affect your eye, as well as some explosions may be created into the chemistry laboratory that happen. So in that case, that chemical must be goes into the eyes. So to protect your eyes, it is necessary to wear the glasses all the time in a laboratory while working. If you are using the contact lenses, then it is necessary to inform your teacher, because in any accidental case, they can help you and protect your eyes. Next is the wear appropriate protective clothing. While working in a chemistry laboratory, the shorts clothing is not appropriate. You have to use the clothing which covers your legs to the knees, and also use the apron to protect your good clothing. And also, whatever the clothes you are using, that must not be very loose, because if you use the loose clothing, that may be come in contact with the chemicals or with the flame and catch the fire. That's why whatever the clothing you are using while working in a chemistry laboratory, that must not be very loose. You have to use apron, so that whatever the good clothing you are wearing, that must get protected from the chemicals, and also the clothing must be cover all your body parts. Next, to protect your legs. We know that in chemistry laboratory, the often chances is that there is the broken glasses are frequently found into the lab, and if you use the sandals or the shoe with the open toe, so you can come in contact with that glasses and the injury can be caused to your leg. As well as sometimes the chemicals is get because of the broken of the glasses, the chemicals also spills out, and that chemical also fall into your legs, so that can causes the injury. So to protect your legs from the various kind of the injuries which may be caused because of the broken glasses, due to some sharp instruments, as well as by the chemical, you have to use the shoes, that is the leather shoes, not a canvas shoes, because canvas shoes cannot protect your legs from the chemical spill. Next comes to the hand protection. So while working in chemistry laboratory, we are handling the various chemicals with the help of our hands, and if we cannot use the gloves, so our hand come in directly contact with that chemical, and that chemical can damage our hands. So it is necessary to wear the gloves while working in a laboratory, so that gloves can protect your hands from the biohazard exposure chemicals. And lab, you can only use the gloves of latex or the nitrile. Do not use the normal gloves because they will not give you the protection as it requires. As well as whatever the gloves you are using, just check before the wearing whether your gloves is torn or the dirty. If they are torn or dirty, do not use that gloves because that will not give you a complete protection. Safety is your responsibility. So how can you will get safe into the laboratory? So for that, before proceeding for the laboratory or entering into the laboratory, you must go through the experimental procedure which you are going to perform. And also, you must know what are the potential risks are associated with that experiment. Think for a while before touching any glassware or any hardware or any chemicals. Take special care when you are working with the strong acid, bases, and contact can cause you a severe burn. If you are come in direct contact with the very strong acids and the bases, that can causes the severe burn to your skin. Inform your instructor if you have any allergies or any medical condition. If you have any allergy for the certain chemicals, so the safety measures can be keep in mind in any accidental case. While working in chemistry laboratory, do not apply cosmetics as well as do not eat anything or the drink into the laboratory. If you do such things, if you are applying the cosmetics in a laboratory or you are eating or drinking something in a laboratory, so these activities are the ways by means of which you are accidentally ingesting the harmful chemical, and if this chemicals goes into the body, that will affect your health definitely. So always keep in mind that while working in a chemistry laboratory, do not eat, do not drink, and do not apply any cosmetics. Do not test any chemical. We know that chemicals are very hazardous. So if you are carried out any reaction, so do not test any chemical. So testing of chemical, direct testing of chemical is not required into the chemistry laboratory. While using the chemicals, so always keep the pour the chemical from the large container to the small container, and always use the chemicals in a small container. While pouring the chemicals from the large container to the small container, keep your hand or hold that bottle, that large container with your hands by covering the label while pouring the chemicals from the large container to the small container. When you are diluting the acid, always add the acid into the water very slowly. Do not add the water into the acid because we know that water is an amphoteric substance, so it can be act as a acid as well as the base. So when you are pouring the water into the acid, so water is act as a base, and the number of H protons in acid is very high, and when you are pouring the water into the acid, that can cause a explosion. This is a very explosive reaction. That's why to avoid this kind of the accidents, for diluting the acid, always add acid into the water very slowly. While working with the volatile chemicals in a chemistry laboratory, always use the fuming hood. because volatile chemicals are generated the vapors very rapidly, and that vapors can cause injury to you. So always keep in mind that whenever you are working with the volatile chemistry, you must have to use the fume hood into the laboratory. While performing the experiments or while working in a chemistry laboratory, whatever the glassware you are using, so before starting the experiment, you must check whether your glassware have a cracks or the straps. If they have the straps or the crack, do not use such a kind of the glassware for the experimental procedure. Whenever you are heating any chemicals in a test tube, hold this test tube opposite to you as well as opposite to the other person, because when we are heating any chemical in a test tube, the bumping may be caused, and because of that bumping the chemical comes out. If you holding the mouth of that test tube towards yourself or toward the other person, so that chemical directly goes into the person, come in contact with that person, and that causes the any injury. So to protect ourselves and to the other from such a kind of the injury, so always hold the mouth of the test tube opposite to ourselves as well as the other people, so that any such kind of the injury is not caused by the bumping of chemical while boiling. When you are handling the hot glassware, you have to use either the gloves or the pair of tongue, which is also called as the beaker tongue. So whatever the hot glasswares you are using, you must hold these hot glasswares, either with the help of the gloves or with the help of the beaker tongue, or it is also called as the pair of tongue. While you are putting off the flame into the laboratory, so first always light the match and then turn on the gas. Don't do that, don't do the reverse. First turn on the gas and then lighting the match. It will cause the accident. That's why always keep in mind that whenever you are lighting the burner into the chemistry laboratory for any heating purpose, first light up the match and then turn on the gas to start the burner. In many experimental procedure, we are noting down the smells of the chemical, but to noting down the smell of the chemical, do not smell directly any chemical. You can feel the smell of that chemical by keeping away that beaker and just taking the vapors towards ourselves with the help of the hand or with the help of any fan. So directly do not smell that chemicals, because that fumes directly goes into your nose and that can damage your nasal tissues. So whenever you have to smell any chemical, you can smell with the help of the hand or with the help of the fan. We know that in various titration, we needed to pipette out the chemicals. So do not pipette out the solution with the help of the mouth. To pipette out the solution, either you can use the suction bulb, a rubber suction bulb, or the other pipetting device which are present into the laboratory. But keep in mind, do not pipette out the solution by the mouth, because if you can't control it, that solution directly goes into the mouth and can damage your mouth tissues, as well as that goes into your digestive system and affect your body. As we know that chemistry laboratory contain the various hazardous material, so it is very important to know the hazards of the material before using. So in every chemical bottle have some MSDS. So that will contain, that will have about all the information about that chemical. So it is very necessary before handling all these chemicals, you should read or refer the carefully that label and make sure that you are using the right chemicals, and you must know how to interpret the data on that MSDS, because if you able to interpret the data and if you understand this hazardous nature, then you can use all the safety measure and protect yourself from the hazardous properties of that chemical. The next thing is about the protection of our hair. While working in a chemistry laboratory, tie your hairs back, because if your hairs are not tied back and these are open, that can fall into the burner or form into the chemical solution, and that can causes the accident. So while working in chemistry laboratory, tie back your loose hairs. The next one is, you must know about the safety equipments present in a chemistry laboratory. We know that although we follow all the safety measures, so accident may be caused accidentally. So if any accident caused, you must know about the safety equipments in a chemistry laboratory, such as the eye wash fountain. So eye wash fountain is present in a chemistry laboratory. If by chance accidentally your eyes come in contact with the hazardous vapors or with the chemical, then wash your eyes with the help of the eye washer fountain repeatedly for some time, so that all the chemicals which goes into the eyes, which is get washing out with the help of this eye wash fountain. So if you come in contact with, if your eyes come in contact with the any vapors or any chemical which causes the irritation to your eyes, go to the eye wash fountain and wash your eyes for some time with the eye wash fountain. The safety shower, if your body is coming in contact with the hazard chemicals and you are feeling irritation, just go and have a safety shower, so that if you are using that safety shower rapidly, at the same moment all that chemical will be get washed out and you can protect yourself by the hazardous effect of that chemicals. There are many chances of the catching the fire in a chemistry laboratory. So you must know how to use the fire extinguisher if any case the fire is catches into the laboratory. So the fire extinguishers are there into the chemistry laboratory. So first you must know how to use this fire extinguisher, and in case of any such a accident, you go and use that fire extinguisher and control the fire. Before start working in any chemistry laboratory, you first get know about the emergency exit of that laboratory. If any major accident causes, in that case you must know the emergency exit of that laboratory, so that you can come out and also help your friends or other people to come out from that laboratory and protect yourself. The next and very important thing, when you are working in a chemistry laboratory, always work with some people. Do not work alone, because if you are working alone in a chemistry laboratory and some accident is happen, so there must be some person which can prevent the injury or which can help you and save you in such an accidental condition. If you are working alone, then in such accidental condition, no one can help you and can save your life and can protect you. So it is very important, while working in a chemistry laboratory, you must work with a group of the person, not alone. Always keep in mind that chemistry laboratory is the place of serious work. You must work in chemistry laboratory very seriously. Do not show your careless behavior or don't have some fun with your friends in a chemistry laboratory, because chemistry laboratory containing the various hazardous chemical, and if you are showing any careless behavior or having some fun with your friends, that can causes the various serious accident and can very means it can also dangerous to your life as well as to your friend. So such kind of the behavior will not be tolerated in a chemistry laboratory. So always work very carefully and very seriously in chemistry laboratory. What about the safety habits in chemistry laboratory? So when you are working in a chemistry laboratory, never leave the fire unattended. If you don't have a need of the fire, then turn off your Bunsen burner. Whenever you are required, you just turn on and use it. But when it is not required, just don't leave it unattended. Just turn off the Bunsen burner, because if you are leaving that Bunsen burner unattended, we know that it emitted the various invisible flames or the radiation, and that radiations can affect your body if you are coming continuously in contact with that radiation. So always keep in mind that if you don't have a need of the burner, just turn it off and don't leave that flame unattended. And if any accident causes into the laboratory, or if any spill is occur, or if any injuries happen to you, just immediately report to your instructor so that he can help you and the reduces the nature of injury. Now we know that various waste material is generated in a chemistry laboratory when we are working in the lab. So the proper disposal of that chemical waste is required. The waste is of different type: the aqueous waste, which may contain the less than 40% organic chemicals; the organic waste, which contain the more than 40% of the organic chemical; the solid waste, such as the light contaminated waste, which includes the gloves, knife wires, paper towels, empty vials, centrifuge tube, etc. Some chemicals, that is the used filter paper, unwanted samples, heavily contaminated gloves, knife wires, and the paper towels, etc. Some silica gels waste is there, and the chemicals in some commercial bottle. All these are comes in the category of the solid waste. And certain kind of the special waste is also generated in the chemistry laboratory. So that are the sharp waste, which contain the razor, blades, needles, etc. Inorganic oxidizing waste, which include the peroxides, chromates, etc. Violently reactive waste, such as the LH, lithium aluminum hydride, N-butyl lithium, HF, etc. Then mercury thermometers, and any uranium, thorium, or the mercury contaminated components. So these different kind of the waste are generated in a chemistry laboratory. So disposal of this waste is very important. So there are the different containers for the waste disposal. For example, if you have the non-hazardous waste which is generated into the laboratory, so you dispose out that non-hazardous waste into the trash container. If any recyclable atom is used in a laboratory, so such a recyclable waste you should be placed into the recyclable container, so that we can recycle that and can we use it again. And again keep in mind that while disposing the waste, you must follow the instruction which are given by the laboratory supervisor. Then about the hazardous waste, so there are the most of the chemical waste generated in a laboratory will be the hazardous and must be disposed properly. So when you are pouring the waste into the laboratory, so pour that into the properly labeled containers. So there are the labeled containers in the laboratory. So pour your hazardous waste into the label container. While pouring the hazardous waste into the container, use the funnel to avoid the spilling of the chemicals. And the chemical, do not dispose the chemicals into the sink. Just dispose all these hazardous chemicals into a container which was instructed and the label into the laboratory. Then about the biohazardous waste. In chemistry laboratory, certain biohazardous waste is also generated. So that biohazardous waste do not or cannot be placed into the trash container. It must be disposed of properly into a container which has the red bag, the container with the red bag. So whatever the biohazardous waste is generated into the lab must be placed into a container with the red bag. Trash and the other non-biohazardous waste must not be placed into that container with the red bag, which is only for the biohazardous waste. The items identified as the sharp, that is also not get placed into the container of the biohazardous waste. Then about the waste disposal of the broken glass again. So while working in a chemistry laboratory, so many times it will be happen the glass whatever are the apparatus, glass apparatus is broken down. So if the glass apparatus is broken down, so dispose of that broken glass waste properly into the broken glass container. Broken glass container must not be placed into the trash container. So it is always placed into the container which is placed for only broken glasses. Then about the safety from the electrical hazard. We know that in our laboratory, in chemistry laboratory, we are using the various equipments, electrical equipments for the various measurements or various experimental procedures. So whenever you are using the electrical equipment, so before use of that equipment, you must have to check out whether the whether the cords are damaged or the thread, and if such a case is there, then immediately report to your laboratory supervisor or the instructor, and do not use such a electrical equipment having damage or the thread cord. And do not keep that electrical equipment at the wet places. Always keep electrical equipment away from the wet areas. In case of the electrocution, do not touch the victim. If any case, any person is come in contact, is caused the electrocution, just do not directly touch to that victim. Activate the emergency set-off button in such a condition. And in case of the power outage, remain calm and follow the instruction of your laboratory supervisor. If any accident is happen in or any unsafe condition you observe into the chemistry laboratory, in such a case, you must report your laboratory supervisor or the instructor immediately. So while working in chemistry laboratory, be alert and proceed with the caution at all the times into the laboratory. Immediately notify your teacher if you observe any unsafe condition or any accident or injury is happened. No matter how travel it seems, do not get panic. So just work carefully and report immediately any unsafe condition, any accidental condition, and if you have any injury. You must demonstrate the safe behavior in a chemistry laboratory. So for that, you must obey all the safety instructions which are given to you by your laboratory supervisor or the instructor. If any chemical spill is occurred, clean up that spill immediately. If you don't know, if you know how, then no problem, you can clean it. But if you don't know how to clean that chemical spill or the amount of chemical spill is very large, then in such a case, you should notify the person with the accordance to an emergency procedure. Before leaving the lab, you must keep in mind that return all the equipments, chemicals to their proper places. Be sure to replace the lids to all the container. Do not left open the chemical container because the chemicals get spoiled off when many chemicals which will get oxidized or the reduced when they come into contact with the atmospheric oxygen. So always be sure to replace the lids of all the container and clean up your work area before leaving the chemistry lab. Before leaving the chemistry lab, you must also take the proper care about turning off of the gas, water taps, vacuums and the compressed air, the power supplies and the heating apparatus. Dispose of the waste properly, report the defective equipments or the supplies to your laboratory instructor, and wash your hand properly before leaving the chemistry laboratory. Thank you. This is all about the introduction to laboratory safety. Thank you.